Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My old roommate is demanding I pay her child support, but I'm not even the father. After that, my husband left me. Now his ex-wife wants me to pay the child support he owes her. And after that, am I the jerk for telling my husband he'll be lucky if his oldest daughter ever speaks to him again? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to scam anyone into paying her child support. Speaking of child support, have you gotten a letter yet from my lawyer, Reddit boy? So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My old roommate is demanding I pay her child support, but I'm not even the father. I, 24 male, used to live in a 4-bedroom house with 2.5 other roommates. Bree, 22 female, Jay, 2 male, and Alex, 27 male. Now, Bree is a single mother, and she works in a customer support job, and Alex is a paramedic. Alex and I are not the biological father of Bree's son. I don't know who is, but from what Bree says, he's a jerk. I moved out of the house since I've switched companies and make twice as much as I used to, and have decided to live by myself now. So a few days ago, I got a message from Bree saying that she needs child support money. I thought it was a joke, and I assumed she sent it to the wrong person, so I said, "Lol, girl. Wrong number." But then she said, "No, OP, I'm serious. I need child support money right now to pay for blah blah blah." I then told Bree that I will not pay child support money as I'm not her baby daddy, but if she needs to borrow money, then we can work something out, but she will have to pay me back. She then wrote multiple paragraphs of text saying that her son imprinted on me and considers me a father and I need to be a good role model for him. There were other things as well, but it made me want to lose it. I left her on red and immediately messaged Alex about what was going on with screenshots, and he was also bewildered. She hasn't talked to him about the money yet, but I did thoroughly warn him, and he's staying at his sister's house for now. She's still blowing up my phone and threatened a lawsuit for the child support and has been calling me all kinds of names. I feel terrible since I care about her son and he's literally a baby, but I am in no shape his father or have any kinds of responsibility to him. I know she doesn't make much and is living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm open to lending her money, but this makes me feel incredibly weird. Am I the jerk for not giving child support? Important missing info. Did you have a romantic relationship while you were living there? You're the jerk. I had a guy friend just like you who refused to help me out at all with my son. Not only is she a single mom, something you have no idea how difficult it is, but her son sees you as a father figure. Why not just man up and do the right thing? Depriving that kid of basic necessities because you'd rather waste your money on video games does not make you a good person. You may not be her baby daddy, but honestly, you don't even deserve to be. Not the jerk, but I do want to warn you that this happened to my brother. His case was a little different because they did actually date for 2 years, but they never even met until her baby was already a year old. My bro was not the biological father and everyone knew that, but because they lived together for 2 years, after he found out she'd been cheating and left her, she was still able to get court-mandated child support from him. Not the jerk. If she needs money, she needs to go after that kid's biological father. It honestly sounds like she knows you have more money now and she's hoping she can guilt you into paying for things. Let her try to sue you. It will not stand up in court at all. Well, what do you think? Should OP pay child support to his ex-roommate or not? Please let us know. Never tell people that you're making more money at your new job than you were at your old job. It'll save you a lot of headaches. My husband left me. Now his ex-wife wants me to pay the child support he owes her. To make a long story short, I'm female 25, and my husband, male 33, just walked out on us a little over a month ago. He completely just up and abandoned me, our 5-year-old, and our 18-month-old. He has an ex-wife in her 30s, and they have a 12-year-old daughter from their marriage. No formal custody involved, but we would usually get my stepdaughter every other weekend, and my husband would pay his ex the child support every month on the 1st when he got paid. My husband's excuse for just leaving us in the dust was that I am damaged goods, and he couldn't hack it being a father anymore. He didn't feel any joy in parenting and wanted to live a free life, so he changed his number, blocked me on all social media, changed all of his passwords, and told his friends and family not to speak to me. It turned my entire life upside down. I've been a stay-at-home mom since our eldest was born, got my degree, and we talked about me going back to the workforce once she entered kindergarten this year in the fall. But it was nothing set in stone. My husband literally gave me an allowance every week to buy groceries, pay bills, buy diapers, anything else the kids needed, etc. I would always stash a little bit away, but he definitely was the breadwinner in our relationship. My husband's ex-wife messaged me earlier today asking if we could talk about something serious. I asked her what was up. She asked if I could pay her for the amount of child support my husband usually gives her every month on the 1st. I curiously asked her how much because my husband never told me exactly the amount he gave her. I never really thought it was any of my business. She told me she needed the $900 he usually gives her because both she and her new husband are struggling to pay their bills, and they rely on that child support to make their rent payment, and they were behind. I told her I couldn't do it because truthfully I can't. I'm still waiting to get an appointment so I can receive government benefits because with what little money I did have saved up, it's gone now after paying every single bill by myself. To keep a roof over mine and my kids' heads, make sure they're fed, etc. There is and will be no way I can spare almost $1,000 to my husband's ex-wife. She blew up my phone, called me names, said that she can understand why he left me, etc. Threatening to keep my stepdaughter away from me and my kids because we are bad influences, and that my stepdaughter is going to struggle because I can't hand over the money I literally don't even have. I tried apologizing, but it was no use. It just ended with her calling me more names. Am I the jerk here? I feel horrible that my husband has left us both high and dry, but I also have to look out for my own kids. I'm literally skipping meals to make sure they have enough to eat, and I'm scrambling to figure out how I'm going to survive without my husband's help now. Part of me is really conflicted, but I can't give his ex-wife what I don't have. Not the jerk. And you said no formal custody? So does that mean no child support agreement for ex-wife and stepdaughter? If so, file first. Child support is allocated in order of who files first, so you should file before she does. Get a divorce lawyer immediately and take him to the cleaners. Not the jerk. Honestly, I'm confused why the ex-wife would ask you and why you would even debate it internally. This is a no-brainer here. Your soon-to-be ex-husband needs to handle his responsibilities. The audacity of her to even ask you is off the charts. OP. I guess because whenever we would have my stepdaughter, I'd be the one to take her shopping, new manicure, etc. My husband would pay for it, but she never wanted him to take her out, just me. I guess her mom just had it in her head that I had a secret stash of money somewhere. She knew I've been a stay-at-home mom ever since our eldest was born. Lawyer here. Absolutely not your responsibility, not the jerk. Your husband is, and she is, for putting this on you. Assuming you are in the USA, 1. You need a custody order with your husband. Otherwise, in many states, he could take the kids with them and not return home. 2. You need a child support order. Many government benefits won't be paid without it. 3. You need a status quo order. Will prevent him from dissipating and hiding assets or making major changes until you can get divorced. 4. You need to talk to a lawyer about your relationship with your stepdaughter and what visitation rights, if any, you have with her. That varies by state. Do this before anything else. Yes, even the government benefits. You need that SQ order in place. Am I the jerk for telling my husband he'll be lucky if his oldest daughter ever speaks to him again? I married my husband 3 years ago. He was divorced and previously widowed. He has 2 daughters, Annie, who is now 26 from his first marriage, and Amy, who is 17 from his second marriage. My husband told me about his late wife, his ex-wife, the issues he had as a blended family when he remarried, and Annie was not on board with him remarrying, and the fact that this strain ended his second marriage. He was also honest that Annie never forgave him for remarrying and never wanted anything to do with Amy or him after she turned 18. What he did not tell me was the major role he played in all of this. I found this out 3 weeks ago at a dinner with his extended family. The story, as I now know it. When Amy was around 5 years old, she took a special interest in a necklace that belonged to his late wife. My husband gave the necklace to Amy, which upset Annie because all her mother's possessions were meant to go to her. My husband told Annie that it was just one item and she needed to get over it because Amy was entitled to have something too. Annie had brought up that it was the piece her mother wore the most. My husband told her that it was a special gift to give to her sister, that she was being selfish. His ex-wife told her that her mother would want someone as special as your sister to have a piece of her as well. Annie never got over it. She tried to take it from Amy and was punished. The last time she saw any of them, she told them all to buzz off. Amy still has the necklace too. She doesn't even take care of it and talks about it as if her dad bought it for her. I was shocked. I never would have expected my husband to be that way. He was very unapologetic about it and told me Annie would have to get over it someday. I told him he should be ashamed of himself, that he should have allowed Annie's mother's possessions to be hers, to do with as she chose, that Amy did not give a crap about his late wife or the significance of these items, but Annie would have. I told him he will be incredibly lucky if his daughter ever speaks to him again, and I would not blame her if she never did. He was furious I judged him. His family said I should take my husband's side over his daughter, who I don't even know, except for the nephew and niece who told the whole story, because they also think my husband did a messed up thing. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Your husband doesn't understand it. He likely lost Annie forever, her love and respect, and his place as her father in her heart. It was not the necklace itself, but the meaning of the necklace. Love, respect, care, her mom's memory. I'd be more concerned about it if I were OP. Her husband hid the part that showed he was responsible for the disastrous relationship with his daughter and made it seem like it was his daughter's problem. I don't doubt that in his mind he thinks he didn't do anything wrong, but that speaks loudly about who he is and how he resolves things. Also, the "you should support me because I'm your husband" is total crap. I hope you don't have kids. That'll make the inevitable divorce a lot trickier. OP. Not with my husband. I have 2 adult kids, but the divorce won't affect them really. Am I the jerk for not asking my friend before giving away a chair from our table? I, male 46, was out on Saturday with my friend, female 38, at a pub. There were 4 chairs at our table. One guy at the table behind ours turns around and asks us if they can have one of our empty chairs. I get eye contact with him because he is in direct line of sight. Since clearly, to me, there were 2 available chairs at our table, I answer, yes, that is okay, without asking my friend about it. My friend then confronts me about the fact that I did not ask her before answering him. She said that by doing so, then I am answering for her and she doesn't like it. Even though there were 2 empty chairs at our table, she feels that I should have asked her if it was okay before answering him, and that would have been good communication between us. She said that there could be many reasons why maybe she wouldn't agree to giving away one of the chairs. Like for example, that I wouldn't know if maybe she had invited other people to come and join us without me knowing about it. It was late in the evening and only the 2 of us had spent the evening together. I felt that the situation was obvious and that the answer would be obvious, so I didn't even think about asking her first. I think I might be the jerk because by not asking my friend first, that I'm not considerate enough about if it's okay with her. Am I the jerk? Edit. Full story. There was an instance a couple of weeks back where a guy wanted to join our table and I said, that's okay, without asking her. She confronted me then, and in that instance, I was very understanding and could understand her point of view very well. I even commented, it will not happen again. This time she commented, again, you are answering for me. I said to her that I thought this instance was a very different type of situation and shouldn't be compared like that. She did not have any understanding about the situations being different. And there was another time where she suspected that I had answered for her about if and when we were joining a friend. I demonstrated that I had in fact not answered for her by showing her the text message I had sent to our friend. You're the jerk. How hard is it to ask her before speaking on her behalf? Why is it that so many of you guys get your kicks from trying to act all mighty and powerful? Honestly, I don't even know why she's wasting her time with someone like you. If I'm out on a date and dude tries to answer for me, pull out my chair or any of that 50s crap, it's a huge red flag and I know I won't be letting him take me out again after this. I do run the bill up as high as possible though, since we're already there. When will you guys learn that it's time to stop acting like cavemen? She deserves so much better. You're the jerk. This sounds like an ongoing issue with you that she has made you aware of more than once. It's something that bothers her either because of bad past experiences or it's just a pet peeve, but it is simple enough to just ask her quickly before answering something that affects both of you. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his friend? Please let us know. Sometimes I think people in these stories will be friends with just about anyone. Wasn't made redundant like everyone else in the company, so kept showing up to work until the end to do nothing. This story is from June 2012, a week or so short of 10 years ago. I have generalized my exact work for anonymity. This story takes place in Australia, where we have very stringent laws around employment, firing, hiring, redundancies, maternity, etc. Little bit of background. I had started working for this particular company in March 2011. I was hired basically on the spot once I demonstrated my knowledge of the product that I would be working on, and started 2 days later because of a deadline that had to be met. I had a very specific contract for what I did. I was thrown in the deep end. A sleepless 7 days followed, but by the end, I managed to do a decent job on the first of many products. 2 months after I started, my direct boss, general manager, was let go and not really replaced properly, but a consultant took over their responsibilities. I should also add that majority of operations were in Australia, while a smaller team operated in the UK, which is also where the CEO was based, despite 80 to 90% of products coming out of our office. Towards the third quarter of 2011, the CEO's contract ended and not renewed, so the hunt began for a new CEO who was eventually found and began working also in the UK location. After a very busy 2011, hiring approximately 30 new employees and launching a bunch of new products, business was booming. Until the second week of January 2012. By this point, upper management couldn't stay on top of everything, bringing in the COO of the parent company to oversee operations in Australia, because we had a lot going on, but the CEO was based in the UK and new. At this point, we had a group meeting where we learned the future of the company and that operations in Australia would cease on June 30th, 2012, end of financial year in Australia. This was followed by management explaining that everyone, except a handful of people, would be made redundant with payouts. The handful who would remain will instead be made redundant after finishing their project at the end of 2012. So over the next 5 months, as operations were slowly winding up and people started to exit the company, I'd lined up a few job interviews. One of these was my dream job, based in Europe, working in the exact field I wanted to be in. I kept this quiet, telling only a handful of my closest friends at my still current job. The recruitment process took quite a few weeks, many late-night Skype interviews, general chats. It was a big job and a massive interview process. And towards the end of May, I'm still in the running for this dream job. And by this point, pretty much everyone knows, wishing me luck. Around comes the start of June, and everyone starts to get their redundancy letters, giving them 28 days of official notice outlining their pay schedules and all legal entitlements. When I say everyone, I mean everyone except me. I find this very strange, but quickly realize it's because if I hand in my notice, I won't be entitled to a payout, and the company gets to save a few $1,000s. This is where my malicious compliance kicks in. I keep quiet and don't say anything. By about the second week of June, I find out that I didn't get my dream job, and I tell one other person, but make sure they don't tell anyone else. Fast forward to the last week of June, and now there's just 7 employees, including me, left in the office, alongside the GM, COO, and CFO. Everyone except me has packed up their desks, and at this point, just showing up to basically be social and reminisce. On the second last day, I run into the COO. Remember, he was from the parent company, brought in to oversee the winding up of operations, next to my desk, and he goes, "You must be saddened that tomorrow is the last day." Casually, I respond with, "Oh, is it? I know it'll be quiet, but I didn't realize it's my last day." He takes a closer look at my desk, still not packed up, has the most confused look on his face and responds with, "Yeah, it's everyone's last day. Why wouldn't it be your last?" "Oh, I never got a redundancy letter." At this point, I can see the expression on his face go from, "Huh?" to, "Oh no." And the hope that I would get a different job and resign so I don't get redundancy entitlements, among everything else going on between the GM, COO, and CFO, they forgot to issue me an official redundancy notice. At this point, he realizes all this and goes, "Oh, come and see me in my office in 30 minutes. Half an hour later, I go to his office. He's sitting there with the CFO by his side, but also kind of behind him. There are a few papers on the desk. I sit down and he starts, "Sorry we didn't do this properly at an earlier point, but here is all your redundancy paperwork. The first piece of paper is the official letter." I pick it up, start reading, and the first thing that catches my eye is the date. It had been backdated to 27 days previously. Now this is the 2-copy letter that needs to be signed by both employer and employee. I put it down and go, "That's not today's date." He gets flustered and responds with, "Sorry, we forgot to get it to you, but the notice was issued on that day." Me, "It might have been issued then, but this is the first time I'm seeing it, and you'll note it hasn't been signed by me." Him, "Yes, but you knew this was coming." Me, "I did, but I assumed I'd be retained for longer because I wasn't given official notice." Him, "What do you want us to do now?" Me, "Put today's date on it and I'll sign it." Him, "But legally, we need to wrap up operations before the end of the month. We can't do that." Me, "You could try to fire me instead, but I don't think Fair Work Commission would be satisfied with your reason of me not wanting to sign a falsified redundancy letter." By this point, he's very flustered. Meanwhile, I'm just laughing in my head. Him. Okay, let me change this for you. He disappears, comes back with another copy with the correct date. Okay, here you go. Me. I'm not signing this yet. Him. Why not? Me. Well, I've got 28 more days of legal employment now, which means I'm owed an extra day and a bit in annual leave in my final pay schedule. He looks at the CFO, and the CFO looks at him and nods in agreement. He changes my payout schedule, adding another day of annual leave to it, prints it out and hands it to me. I carefully look over everything. It's all in order now. I sign the paperwork, we both get copies. Him. So, what will you be doing here for the next 28 days? Me. Nothing. I'm not coming back after today. Him. But you are legally employed for another 4 weeks. We can't be paying you for nothing. You should help out the IT guy and pack up some boxes. Me. There's nothing in my contract about packing up boxes, so I won't be doing that. Also, if you read my contract, it says I'm employed to work on this one specific project only, and any other outside work of this needs to be agreed on separately. And since you sold my project to the competition yesterday, and it's no longer at this company, I have no further contractual obligations to fulfill. By this point, the CFO is barely holding in his laughter. Him. Well, that's not fair. We have to pay you an extra month for nothing. Me. That's not my problem. My contractual obligations have been fulfilled. I'm going to pack up and go home at 5 p.m. Him. Okay, please make sure it's not before 5 p.m. I get back to my desk and pack it up in less than 5 minutes, put all my personal belongings in a box, and just sit around doing nothing. One of my colleagues who is remaining for a few more months comes and asks me, what was all that about? I explain everything in detail. He lets out the biggest booming laugh, goes to his office, closes the door, and continues laughing. 15 minutes later, the CFO comes over and goes, you don't have to stay until the end of the day. You can take off whenever you want. And this is the story of how I got an extra month's pay due to management's incompetence. Am I the jerk for calling mother-in-law out on her allergies? For as long as I've been with my husband, mother-in-law has been claiming she's deathly allergic to egg, ginger, and she can't have a lot of salt in her meals. So I've been actively avoiding these ingredients in meals I cook. She's even had an allergic reaction to foods she suspects have those ingredients. About a week ago, I hosted a dinner for sister-in-law's birthday and made sister-in-law her favorite salted caramel mousse. It's easily one of the best things I make. This recipe has taken me years to make it perfectly, and I keep it a huge secret, but it has a lot of egg and a lot of salt in it. So keeping in line with mother-in-law's dietary requirements, I make her a simple chocolate caramel mousse with no eggs or salt in it. Dessert rocks around, and I bring out a tray of the salted caramel mousse, put it on the table, and tell mother-in-law, I'll be back with your mousse in a second. Don't eat this one, it's salted caramel. I go to the kitchen, come back, and mother-in-law has already taken a salted caramel mousse, which was meant for me, and is shoveling it down her face as quickly as possible. I yell, no, mother-in-law, it has egg and salt in it. She keeps eating and says, I know, but everyone always says it's so nice and I wanted to try it. A little bit won't hurt. She devours the entire mousse, which wasn't a small portion, and asks if there's any more because it was so yummy. I tell her no, there isn't any more. But what's going on? I thought she was allergic to those ingredients. She tells me, well, she's technically not allergic, but she doesn't like the taste of egg. It makes her sick, so she just tells people she's allergic, and that way people don't make her food with those ingredients. She still eats cakes, pies, etc., where she can't taste the ingredients. She just doesn't like to eat them if she can taste them. I tell her she shouldn't say she's allergic if she's not. There's a big difference between not liking something and being allergic to something. I've always gone out of my way to avoid those ingredients in her food and even purchase separate bowls and spoons to cook her food in order to avoid cross-contamination. I've been substituting ingredients for years to ensure that I'm not feeding her something she's allergic to. She laughs and says it's not a big deal. Lots of people do it. She also told me I'm being a drama queen. I told her it is a big deal. She could have just told me she didn't like it. It would have saved me a fortune in substituting ingredients or making separate meals. Everyone at the table agreed that claiming to have an allergy when you're not allergic is a jerk thing to do. She sent me a message yesterday saying that I shouldn't have called her out in front of everyone. Now no one will take her seriously when she says she's allergic. I replied with, well, you're not allergic to them, so it doesn't really matter, does it? She texted my husband that she's not coming over unless I apologize to her for calling her out in front of everyone because I made her feel bad. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She lied, got caught in that lie. She ate the moose in front of everyone, then gets all upset that you called her out on her lie? And now she wants you to apologize? For what? I'm sorry you got caught lying? Not the jerk. Your mother-in-law, on the other hand, is a huge jerk. This undermines everyone who has a real food allergy. It's expensive and time-consuming to accommodate, and for some people, food safety is critical. He or she just claims allergy to have her preferences met wherever she goes, and she will pick and choose when the allergy excuse suits her occasion. Not okay. For anyone who has an actual life-threatening allergy, she deserved to be called out. Would I be the jerk if I leave for a hotel until he gets back? My husband has a bad habit of springing things on me last minute and expecting me to roll with it. He often claims he just found out about it, but when pushed, will admit that things have been in the works for a long time and he just didn't notice or neglected to inform me, etc. One recurring surprise has to do with his work. He tends to spring work trips or events on me last minute and or will modify trips already in process to extend them, change the terms, etc. In isolation, it might not be a huge deal, but we have kids that I'm left to take care of. And this is the biggest factor for me. He frequently leaves his relatives behind at the house with me. I do not like this. I'm very introverted and private, and while I recognize he likes having his family around, and I do my best to make peace with that while he is around, I find it unreasonable to leave them behind with me time and time again while he's off traveling. Most especially because he knows I value my space, don't particularly get along with his relatives, and because over time it has become such a consistent thing that we've had huge fights about it, so he has no way to pretend he thinks I'm okay with it. Fast forward to this week. He has multiple relatives coming in from out of town. This has been in the works for a month or so, and they intend to stay for a prolonged period of time. I've had some nerves about this for the above-mentioned reasons, but have been doing my best to be supportive of it because I know how much family means to him, and at least when he's here with them, there is a decently comfortable dynamic. There was also no mention of him having any upcoming travel, so I felt somewhat at ease, until the day before they were scheduled to arrive. While talking, he suddenly brings up how he'll be away next week, just a few days after they arrive. He first said he just found out, but when I said it's unreasonable for his work to demand he leave on such short notice, he confessed it was planned a month ago. He swears he just missed the invite, but given his history, I'm betting he just didn't want to tell me. So now he's about to leave me with virtually no notice with a number of his relatives, most of whom I don't even know. And the one relative I do know well, I do not get along with. I told him if he leaves me like this, I'm going to a hotel while he's gone. He responded that I would offend his relatives by doing so, and therefore I can't. I'm tired of being pushed into uncomfortable situations, and I'm considering making this my hill to die on and leaving anyways. Clearly, just talking to him about me not being okay with this pattern is going nowhere, and I don't see how it's reasonable that he keep backing me into uncomfortable situations. But he is right that it's obviously going to look shady at best and rude at worst if I just leave. But given that I was bamboozled into this situation to begin with, does that really make me the jerk? Not the jerk. You contact the relatives and tell them that unfortunately his job has made a last-minute change and hubby isn't going to be here. They need to cancel the trip or make alternative sleeping arrangements. Put your foot down. He knows what he's doing. OP should leave before the day they're supposed to arrive and hubby is supposed to leave with phone switched off. That would leave hubby in the position of either canceling the trip or calling his relatives, if not both. Why should she be the one who carries the bad news? Not the jerk. Make this your hill to die on and go to the hotel. Look, you're going to get a lot of comments here about red flags, etc. I'm not going there because it's not part of this post. Assuming your husband is otherwise a great and respectful partner, then I get it. Everyone has their totally selfish streak, a blind spot that is just so frustrating. As an imperfect partner ourselves, we cut it some slack, but you are allowed to reach a breaking point. He triple whammied you. He invited family to stay for a prolonged trip, knowing you don't love it. He deliberately lied to you about his work travel, which you have previously asked him not to do, and he continues to do. And now he wants to leave you alone in a situation where you are viscerally uncomfortable, that he himself created. Stand your ground, and when your husband says his family will be offended, explain that they will be, but that you expect them to be less so after he tells them that he has a long history of lying to you and springing things on you at the last minute, that you have expressed this to him many times and he did it again. And now you are understandably upset, and they are paying the price for his behavior. The truth shall set you free. He just needs to man up and take the hit. Karen tries to steal my boyfriend while on our vacation. So my friends and I are going on a trip next month to Miami, Florida. We've been planning it for about a month now, and originally it was going to be a float trip within our state, and with 16 people we go to college with. Before everyone screeches about the lockdown, we've all had our shots. One of my friends in particular, Jay, has a very specific work schedule. We worked around this and got days of the week that are less convenient for the majority because we wanted to include her. She refuses to take off work for the trip despite going on multiple week-long vacations with other people since April. Still though, we did our best to accommodate her. On New Year's, we all stayed on campus for the break, so her, myself, 2 friends, and my boyfriend, A, all spent the night together drinking and playing games in my apartment since my roommate had gone home. That night, she made a passing comment about how she thought my boyfriend was hot and she would love for him to be her New Year's kiss, and I chalked it up to drunken confessions and ignored it since she hadn't made any moves. At one point, she did fall into his lap, but he removed her quickly. Now for this trip, we had to seek out accommodations. After changing the initial float trip because I and our other friend, S, wanted to go to Florida, we downsized our group to just me, S, J, A, and A's friend. We were looking at a 3-bedroom apartment on Airbnb with enough beds to have everyone sleeping comfortably. While discussing sleeping arrangements with S and J, J decided to half-joke about how she wanted to sleep in the same room as A, and that I wouldn't be mad since we've gone on breaks to see other people before. Note: A and I have been dating for 3 years at this point. We've broken up to see other people once before in our first year when we went on summer break because our hometowns are too far away to see each other. We were 18 and 19 at the time and haven't done it again since. I expressed discomfort at this joke and she kept brushing it off, but I really don't trust her. While talking with S privately, she also said it was a bit weird. I ended up shifting the dates of our stay and plane tickets by 1 day, which would prevent Jay from being able to attend due to her work schedule. At first, I just said it was because these were cheaper dates, but she seems to have picked up immediately that it was done because of what she said. She's now calling me a manipulative jerk. S said it was a bit unexpected, but she understands why I did it as well as why Jay is mad. A has no idea because we haven't involved him in the situation. He just knows the new dates and is fine with them. Am I the jerk?
Huge shout out to our newest official channel member, Sweet Fat Burrito. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really means the world to Reddit Boy and I. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.